You know, this one is this one's really interesting. I can remember sitting here, I don't know how many years ago it was, 4 years, and making a motion at 2 o'clock in the morning to oppose the Truth and Reconciliation Commission or oppose whatever actions they took. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And all of us were tired, all of us were frustrated, and none of us expected that particular topic to come up as a council item at that hour. And I've often thought about my motion in the context of the rest of my life, because I remember where I was that Sunday, I guess afternoon, Saturday afternoon, driving back into Greensboro, and when I heard on the radio that it had happened, and I remember where I was, and you know, I remember where I was when President Kennedy was shot, you know, and so for me it was something of significance to be able to have that vivid a memory at that point in time. I've been through other voices. I've been through the Undoing Racism seminars, spent a lot of time thinking about this issue as it relates to Greensboro, North Carolina. The book Civilities and Civil Rights by Dr. Chafe, who I happened to take when I was at Duke University. He was a professor, and not until I moved to Greensboro and read that book did I realize what a good professor I'd had at Duke University. But the thesis of the book was that Greensboro will say the right things, but it really doesn't get down to the gut and do the right things. And it has a history in that regard, and that was the thesis of that book. And listening to this conversation tonight, I think in a certain respect, I think there's some confusion here, because there are a lot of things in the report that Mike has that I don't agree with and I can argue about. But that's not what we're here tonight. We're here tonight to accept or to consider a report that was presented by our Human Relations Commission, folks that we appointed to try to solve problems in this community. And I sat down with Maxine and Dr. Wade and read their recommendations and said, what's wrong with us considering what they have to say? 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, we were campaigning, and one of the issues in that campaign was, what are you going to do with this Truth and Reconciliation report? I was in East Greensboro at a public forum, and 2 elderly gentlemen came up and said, would you please do something about this situation? Would you please bring it to an end? A few days later, I was working out, and the guy who was my personal trainer for 7 or 8 years said something to me about the event, because he was a 7-year-old kid, lived across the street from where this happened. That kind of shook me up. You know, Ricky, you're still living with this stuff. Oh, yeah. And so when you start reflecting about how we have to move forward, we have to look at this as a process. And I think the Human Relations Department has done what they needed to do, which is to bring us back the good things that we as a city are doing for human relations. And those were outlined, the things that the police are doing. We've made drastic changes in this city. We have a tremendous police department. They do a fantastic job at taking care of us every day. Sure, there's some mistakes like in any large organization, but by and large, they're working hard for us. We are talking as a community. I mean, Zach brought up his tapestry group. Our young folks are a lot further along than those of us with a little gray hair. But in order for us to really move past this, what harm does it have and I've gone through this line by line. It says the City Council of the City of Greensboro, North Carolina, is strongly committed to human rights and deeply regrets the events of November 3rd, 1979 that resulted from the loss of 5 lives and divided a community. I can't find anything wrong in my heart with that sentence. It goes on to say, we appreciate the work done by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Citizens Review Committee, and the Human Relations Commission, as well as the great effort of many individuals and organizations that promote healing among the residents of our community by replacing divisiveness with harmonious relationships. I might not agree with everything the Truth and Reconciliation Commission did, but I can appreciate the effort that they took. And I can't really find anything wrong with that sentence. I go to the next sentence. I say, we, the City Council of Greensboro, North Carolina, value the rich diversity of our neighborhoods, celebrate both our similarities and differences as human beings, and pledge its support to the extent of its ability and authority to assure that nothing like the events of November 3rd, 1979 ever occur again in our community. Folks, I can't find anything wrong with that either, and that's the whole paragraph that our Human Relations Commission is asking us to consider and asking us to adopt tonight. We've got to move past this thing. And the way to do that, and the way to do that is to do something, and do something, and then move forward. And folks, I can't see anything wrong with this.